Now let's talk about why this matters. Every habit you have is a vote for the type of person you want to become. Want to be financially successful? Start with the small stuff, tracking your spending, saving a few dollars a day, or learning a new skill that could earn you money. Want to get healthier? Commit to drinking one more glass of water or taking a 10-minute walk. These little actions might seem trivial, but they add up in ways you can't even imagine. James introduces us to the idea of the 1% rule. Improve by just 1% every day. You might not see the results immediately, but in a year, that's exponential growth. Let me give you a practical way to apply this. Let's say you want to save money. Start with $1 a day. Just $1. It's small, yes, but as you build that habit, you'll naturally start saving more without even thinking about it. And when you see that savings account grow, it reinforces the habit. Now, here's the kicker. Habits are like double-edged swords. Good ones compound positively, and bad ones can drag you down. Think about it. If you spend just a little too much every day over time, that can lead to debt. On the flip side, small investments can lead to wealth. The real magic? It's in the systems you build, not the goals you set. Goals are great, but systems, the daily routines and habits, are what actually get you there. Let's use an example. If your goal is to write a book, don't focus on the book. Focus on writing just 100 words every morning. If you stick with that, you'll have a draft before you know it. Alright, that's a lot to take in for now, but here's what I want you to do today. Pick one small habit you can start right now. Maybe it's journaling for 5 minutes, saving $1, or cutting out soda. Start small and stay consistent. Alright, so we've talked about the power of small habits and how they can shape your life over time. Now let's get into the real meat of it. How do you actually build habits that stick? James Clear gives us a straightforward framework called the 4 laws of behavior change. This is like your cheat code for making habits work for you, not against you. The first law is make it obvious. Think about it. How many times do we forget to do something simply because it's out of sight, out of mind? For instance, if you want to start eating healthier, put a bowl of fresh fruit on your kitchen counter. Want to read more? Leave a book on your pillow so you see it before bed. The idea is to create cues in your environment that remind you to take action. Here's an example. Let's say you want to save money but always end up overspending. Set up automatic transfers from your checking account to your savings account on payday. You're making saving obvious and automatic. It's right there, staring you in the face. The second law is make it attractive. If something feels like a chore, you're not going to stick with it. That's just human nature. So, how do you make a habit attractive? By pairing it with something you already enjoy. James calls this habit stacking. For instance, if you love your morning coffee, use that as a reward for doing something productive first, like journaling or planning your day. Here's a money-saving example. If budgeting feels boring, pair it with something you love, like playing your favorite music or podcast while you review your expenses. Suddenly, it's less of a chore and more of a vibe. Next up is the third law. Make it easy. This one's a game changer. Don't try to overhaul your entire life overnight. That's a recipe for burnout. Instead, lower the barrier to entry. Let me break it down. If you want to start exercising, don't commit to an hour-long workout right away. Start with just 5 minutes. 5 minutes is easy, manageable, and doesn't feel intimidating. Once you're consistent, you can build on it. And this applies to money too. Let's say you want to start investing but feel overwhelmed by the options. Begin with micro-investing apps that let you invest spare change. It's simple, and it gets you into the habit of putting your money to work. Finally, the fourth law is make it satisfying. We're wired to repeat behaviors that feel good. So, find ways to reward yourself when you stick to your habits. For example, if you're saving money, treat yourself to something small, like your favorite coffee, every time you hit a milestone. The key is to create positive reinforcement so your brain associates the habit with pleasure. Now, let's be real here. Life's not always perfect, and you'll have slip-ups. That's okay. James Clear says it's not about being perfect. It's about showing up more often than not. If you miss a day, don't beat yourself up. Just get back on track the next day. So, here's what I want you to do. Pick one habit you want to build and apply these 4 laws to it. Start small. Make it obvious, attractive, easy, and satisfying. And remember, this isn't about being flawless. It's about progress. So, we've got the 4 laws of behavior change down. Make it obvious, attractive, easy, and satisfying. Now let's take this a step further and talk about the deeper, underlying driver of all habits, your identity. This is where James Clear gets really profound. Here's the thing. True, lasting change isn't about what you do, it's about who you believe you are. Think about it. If you see yourself as bad with money, you're probably going to act in ways that confirm that belief, like overspending or avoiding budgets. But if you shift your identity to, I'm someone who makes smart financial decisions, everything changes. Your habits begin to align with that identity. Let me give you an example. Imagine you're trying to quit smoking. Instead of saying, I'm trying to quit, say, I'm not a smoker. See the difference? The first one implies effort, while the second one declares who you are. That's the kind of mental shift we're talking about here. Now, how do you actually build this identity? It comes down to proving it to yourself with small wins. Every time you follow through on a habit, you're casting a vote for the type of person you want to be. Want to become someone who's financially independent? Start by saving even a tiny amount each week. Each dollar saved is a vote for your identity as a saver. Over time, these votes add up, and you start to truly believe, I am someone who is good with money. Here's how this could play out in your daily life. Let's say you want to build the identity of a fit and healthy person. Start small. Maybe it's doing 1 push-up a day or taking the stairs instead of the elevator. These might seem insignificant, but they're not. Every time you take action, you reinforce the belief that you're a fit person. And this applies to earning money too. If you want to see yourself as an entrepreneur or a successful professional, start acting like one even in small ways. Maybe that means setting aside 30 minutes every day to learn a skill, network, or work on a side project. These small actions will compound. And before you know it, you'll not only be doing the work, but also truly believing that you're the kind of person who creates opportunities and builds wealth. Here's a pro tip from the book. Tie your habits to your identity by creating I am statements. For example, I am someone who takes care of my health. I am someone who makes smart financial choices. I am someone who always learns and grows. Repeat these to yourself as you build your habits. It might sound a little cheesy, but it works. Over time, your brain starts to connect the dots between your actions and these beliefs. Alright, so we've covered how your identity shapes your habits and vice versa. Coming up, we'll talk about why the environment you're in is just as important as the actions you take. Trust me, your surroundings play a huge role in your success. Alright, let's keep this momentum going. We've talked about identity and how your habits shape who you are. Now let's dive into something just as powerful, your environment. Here's a truth bomb. Your environment often matters more than your motivation. That's right. It's not about how much willpower you have. It's about designing your surroundings to make success inevitable. James Clear explains that our behaviors are heavily influenced by the cues around us. If you set up your environment right, good habits happen almost automatically. Let me give you a simple example. Say you want to eat healthier. If your kitchen is stocked with chips and soda, guess what you're going to reach for when you're hungry? But if you fill your fridge with fresh veggies, fruits, and lean proteins, suddenly, healthy eating becomes the default. It's not about forcing yourself to make a better choice. It's about setting things up so the better choice is the easiest one to make. And it's not just about food. Think about your financial habits. If you're constantly bombarded with ads for things you don't need, or if your credit card is linked to every shopping site you visit, you're setting yourself up to overspend. On the other hand, if you unsubscribe from marketing emails, delete those shopping apps, and use a budget tracker, you're creating an environment that supports saving. One of the most actionable tips from the book is to create what James calls a frictionless environment for your good habits and add friction to your bad ones. Want to work out more? Keep your workout clothes where you can see them, like right by your bed. Want to spend less time on your phone? Put it in another room when you're trying to focus. These little tweaks make a massive difference. Another key point is to surround yourself with people who already have the habits you want to adopt. We're social creatures, and we tend to mirror the behaviors of those around us. If you want to be more financially savvy, hang out with people who are good with money. They'll influence you even if it's subtle. And let's not forget the power of context. If you associate certain environments with specific habits, you can use that to your advantage. For example, if you want to focus on work, create a dedicated workspace that's free of distractions. If you want to relax, have a spot in your home that's cozy and inviting. By linking environments to habits, you're training your brain to associate certain actions with specific places. So, here's your challenge. Take a look around. What does your environment say about your habits? Is it helping you or holding you back? Make one small change today to align your surroundings with the life you want to build. Maybe it's rearranging your kitchen, setting up a workspace, or removing distractions from your phone. Let's keep rolling. We're diving into one of the most misunderstood parts of building habits, the plateau of latent potential. This concept is so powerful because it explains why so many people quit before they see results. Here's the deal. Progress often feels invisible at first. You're putting in the work, eating healthier, saving money, going to the gym, but nothing seems to change. It's frustrating, right? James Clear describes this phase as the valley where progress is happening beneath the surface, but it hasn't broken through yet. Think of it like an ice cube sitting in a cold room. The temperature starts at 25 degrees Fahrenheit, and you slowly warm it up, 26, 27, 28 degrees, but nothing happens. It's still a solid cube of ice. Then you hit 32 degrees Fahrenheit, and suddenly, it starts to melt. That's what habits are like. You might be working hard for weeks or months with no visible change, but then one day, you hit that tipping point, and the results start pouring in. This is where most people go wrong. They quit before they reach 32 degrees Fahrenheit. They think, this isn't working, and give up. But the truth is, every small action you take is bringing you closer to that breakthrough. It's just not obvious yet. So, how do we push through this plateau? First, you have to trust the process. If you're consistent with your habits, results will come. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow, but they will. Second, focus on the system, not the outcome. Don't get obsessed with the scale if you're trying to lose weight or your bank balance, if you're trying to save money. Instead, focus on showing up every day and doing the work. Let me give you a practical example. Imagine you're learning a new skill to boost your income, coding, graphic design, copywriting, whatever it is. At first, it feels like you're terrible at it. You're watching tutorials, practicing, but nothing's clicking. That's your plateau of latent potential. But if you keep at it, suddenly things will start to make sense. You'll land your first client or finish your first project. And that's your breakthrough moment. The key is to stay consistent, even when it feels like nothing's happening. This is why James Clear says, you do not rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. A solid system is what keeps you moving forward during the plateau. Here's an action step for you. Think about one habit you've been struggling with. Maybe it's exercising, saving money, or working on a side hustle. Ask yourself, are you quitting too soon? Are you expecting results before you've hit that tipping point? If the answer is yes, commit to sticking with it a little longer. Trust that progress is happening, even if you can't see it yet. And this idea of sticking with something until you see results is where so many people get it wrong. It's natural to want instant gratification. We live in a world where you can get almost anything with a tap on your phone. But when it comes to habits, patience is your superpower. This is why James Clear emphasizes that the greatest returns come from staying consistent long enough to cross that invisible line where your effort starts paying off. Now let's talk about breaking bad habits because we all have them, and they're often the biggest roadblocks to success. Whether it's overspending, procrastinating, or binge-watching TV, bad habits can undo all the good work you're putting in. So how do we tackle them? It starts with awareness. You can't fix what you don't see. James introduces a concept called the habit scorecard, where you list out all your daily habits, good, bad, and neutral, and become aware of what's helping or hurting you. For example, if you check your phone first thing in the morning, ask yourself, does this set me up for a productive day, or is it a distraction? If you're grabbing takeout every night, is that a choice aligned with your health and financial goals? Once you've identified the bad habits, the next step is to make them difficult or unattractive. Remember the 4 laws of behavior change? We're flipping those now. Make it invisible. Remove the cue. For example, if you're trying to cut back on social media, delete the apps from your phone or use screen time limits. Make it unattractive. Remind yourself why the habit is harmful. Think about the long-term consequences, like how overspending now can lead to financial stress later. Make it difficult. Add friction. If you're trying to stop impulsive online shopping, remove your saved credit card details so you have to enter them manually every time. Make it unsatisfying. Introduce accountability. Tell a friend about your goal or set up a system where there's a small penalty for slipping up, like donating to a cause you don't support. Breaking bad habits isn't about perfection. It's about making them harder to stick with over time. And here's the thing. When you replace a bad habit with a good one, you're not just removing something negative, you're adding something positive. For instance, instead of scrolling on your phone, you might start journaling or reading. Instead of ordering takeout, you could experiment with cooking simple, healthy meals. This leads us to the importance of habit stacking. This is where you take a habit you already have and pair it with a new one you're trying to build. For example, if you're trying to remember to take vitamins, you could stack it with brushing your teeth in the morning. If you want to build the habit of saving money every time you check your bank account, you could transfer a small amount into savings. These little tweaks might seem insignificant, but they're incredibly powerful. Over time, they transform your routines and, ultimately, your identity. And that's what this is all about, becoming the person you want to be, one small step at a time. Next, we're going to tie everything together and talk about how to make this process sustainable for the long term. Because building habits is one thing, but keeping them alive? That's where the real magic happens. And this idea of sustainability is key because habits aren't just about achieving a single goal. They're about creating a lifestyle that supports the kind of person you want to be. So how do you make habits stick for the long term? The answer lies in something James Clear calls habit tracking and building systems that practically run on autopilot. Habit tracking is such a simple yet powerful tool. It's as easy as keeping a visual record of your progress. Whether it's marking an X on a calendar every day you complete a habit using an app or just jotting it down in a notebook, tracking creates a feedback loop. Every time you see that streak growing, it gives you a small hit of satisfaction that keeps you motivated to keep going. But here's the real kicker. Habit tracking is less about perfection and more about showing up. Missing a day doesn't erase your progress. The key is to never miss twice. If life gets in the way, and let's be honest, it will, your priority should be to get back on track as quickly as possible. Let's say you're working on saving money. You've been consistently putting aside a certain amount every week, but one month, an unexpected expense throws you off. Instead of beating yourself up or giving up entirely, focus on making your next deposit as soon as you can. The streak isn't what matters. It's the act of continuing that builds momentum. Now, here's something interesting James Clear talks about: the idea of the Goldilocks rule. This rule states that habits are most effective when they're just on the edge of your abilities, not too easy, not too hard. Why? Because when something feels achievable but still a little challenging, it keeps you engaged. Think about this in terms of earning more money. If you've been working the same job for years and feel stuck, maybe it's time to take on a project that stretches your skills just a bit. It could be starting a side hustle, learning a new skill, or asking for more responsibility at work. These challenges not only improve your abilities, but also keep you motivated to grow. And let's talk about rewards. Long-term habits thrive on immediate rewards. Humans are wired for instant gratification, so you need to find ways to make good habits feel rewarding in the moment. For example, if you're building a workout routine, treat yourself to a relaxing shower or your favorite smoothie afterward. If you're working on saving money, celebrate milestones, like hitting your first $500 saved, with a small treat that doesn't derail your progress. Here's the bigger picture. Habits aren't just actions you take, they're investments in your future. Every small decision you make compounds over time, creating a ripple effect that can transform your life. When you consistently invest in good habits, whether it's learning, saving, exercising, or building relationships, you're setting yourself up for exponential growth. Now, we're almost there. Let's bring it all together now. When you step back and look at everything we've talked about, it becomes clear that habits are the foundation of a better life. They're not about perfection, willpower, or massive changes overnight. They're about small, consistent actions that align with the kind of person you want to become. We started with the idea of building habits through the 4 laws of behavior change. Make it obvious, attractive, easy, and satisfying. These principles are simple but powerful. They help you design habits that work with your natural tendencies, not against them. Then we moved into the deeper, transformative work, shaping your identity. When you see yourself as someone who saves, earns, learns, or grows, your habits naturally align with that belief. Every action becomes a vote for the kind of person you want to be. We also explored the importance of environment, setting up your surroundings to make good habits easy and bad habits hard. It's a game changer when you realize that the cues around you are shaping your behavior every single day. And of course, we tackled the tricky parts, sticking with habits through the plateau of latent potential, breaking bad habits by adding friction, and using habit tracking to stay consistent. Each step is designed to make this process sustainable for the long haul. Here's the truth. This isn't just about building habits to achieve goals. It's about creating systems that allow you to thrive. It's about showing up for yourself every day, even in the smallest ways, because those small actions are what create a meaningful, fulfilling life. And don't forget the compound effect. Success isn't about a single grand achievement. It's about the tiny wins that stack up over time. Every time you invest in your health, your finances, your skills, or your relationships, you're building a foundation for a better future. So, where do you go from here? Start small. Pick one habit to focus on and commit to it. Track your progress. Celebrate your wins, no matter how small. And remember, this is a journey. You don't have to be perfect. You just have to keep going. James Clear said it best. Habits are the compound interest of self-improvement. The choices you make today might seem small, but over time, they'll lead to incredible results. And before you know it, you'll look back and realize just how far you've come. Not because of one big change, but because of the small, consistent actions you chose to take every day. So, take that first step. Build that habit. Cast your vote. The best version of yourself is waiting, and you've got everything you need to make it happen. And with that, we wrap up this journey through Atomic Habits. Thanks for sticking with me. And here's to building a life filled with purpose, progress, and success. Let's go make it happen. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more amazing audiobook.